Welcome to Pause Button with Storytime Gamer and Bob.
A weekly podcast covering gaming news, reviews, and all things geek.
I'm your host, Storytime Gamer, also known by Eric, and I stream a variety of games on my YouTube channel, Storytime Gamer, with a focus on story-driven games, role-playing, and horror games. I also love anything from the 80s and 90s pop culture.
And I'm Bob, bringing you games you can chill to. Survival crafting, factory management, and open world RPGs. Anything you can play while listening to a podcast, an audiobook, or watching Netflix.
Send us your thoughts, ideas, and reactions to emails at pausebuttongaming.com. If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast so you can always find the latest episode when you need to step back from life and press pause.
All right, let's get to the show. Eric, I just got back from a family vacation.
Woo!
We were hanging out in another state, just checking it out, and we got a surprising amount of video games in.
Oh, how surprising. Tell me.
Well, we were pretty busy during the day. You know, we were out doing things, but my whole family comes back, and we all like to just chill in the afternoon. Everybody was playing something, and I got several. We'll talk a little bit about it in the game section, but family that games together,
Family that games together, slays together, plays together, slays together. There was something advertised as that. I think that might have been Destiny. When it first got launched. But yeah, that's awesome. That's I think a testament to not only your family dynamic but also the bonding time. Because it's like, you know, for me, when I like to travel, I enjoy the daily activities, but then I love going back to the hotel room to chill. And you know, that's gaming on the iPad or the Switch in most recent years. I remember growing up, it would be like the original Game Boy was the go-to toy and gaming device I had on trips. So I totally understand, because you need that. You need that chill time.
And you know, when I was a kid, if we were going to chill in the hotel room, we'd have one TV. You know, so everybody would be watching the same show. Now everybody's in the same room, but we're all doing different things.
Right, and that's still good. And it's funny how people are like, "No, you're not paying attention to me." No, that's fine in my opinion. You are in the same space, in the same presence. You can just say, "Hey, how's it going?" You're enjoying yourself, and you're just in the same environment, and that's definitely better than I would say like different rooms and just not, you know, there's still that sense of togetherness, even if you're doing different activities on your electronic device.
Yeah.
All right. So games. Well, no, we're going to go in the news, aren't we? We're going to news first. Well, I wanted to talk about how the robot uprising has already begun.
Oh, no.
We always fear about Skynet kicking online. Well, apparently a chess-playing robot breaks a boy's finger in the Moscow tournament. So, you know, you're not, you know, talking about Russia and all the turmoil there going right now, but Moscow, there was a Moscow Chess Federation said that there was a chess-playing robot that broke a boy's finger during a match in Russia this past week. Apparently they blame it on the boy's fault, but
no, on the boy.
I don't believe that. I think the robot knew what it was doing. Is trying to break his finger because it was afraid to lose.
I was talking about this story with to my kids, and my daughter asked, "Why do they make robots that are like that strong? You know, like if you're going to make a robot that's going to clean your house or whatever, why does it need to be strong enough to like lift a car? This is where all these movies go wring, where you know the robots are Volt and they're like superhuman.
You're right.
They don't need to be that strong, you know?
Right? No, I agree. Like why? The thing needs to pick up a pawn, which is wooden or metallic. It shouldn't be able to break a finger unless it just was like kept like spinning in a rotation. I don't know exactly how.
I loved how at the end they blamed the kid and they were like, the robot's perfectly safe. No, it broke someone's finger.
Right. It's like
it's a 7-year-old.
Right. No, it's okay. The shark's gone now. I swear. Go back in the water. And then how many other people died? You know, in Jaws.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yep. Watch out for them robots.
Well, I guess you've got to tell me a story about NFTs. Let's just get it out of the way.
Oh, you just want me to go right into NFTs? Well, Square Enix is making more NFTs. We talked about how the Cloud figure statue was going to be coming with its own NFT, but fans can pre-order Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary figures at Square Enix store. At the Square Enix store, while the digital collectibles will be available in 2023. So there's more than just one coming out for not just Cloud Strife or Strife, however you want to say. I always said Strife. and apparently this is what they're investing into. And again, I say to the naysayers out there that this is just how it's going to be. NFTs are going to be in our future. The way that they are used and applied is going to be based on what's going to really work. I agree with the people that say, why are you paying them, $500,000 for a JPEG? Not this. This is a proof of authenticity for your collectible. That makes sense.
Yeah, I would think the proof of authenticity would be the physical possession of the collectible. But I think, the problem right now is we're in the hype phase of this new technology. Mm-hmm. And, you got the people that are participating are the early adopters. And when they bring real value to these things, when something is truly usable across multiple games or systems or metaverses or whatever, when it has more value than just like, oh, this is proof of something, right. It's functional in some way. Yeah. And then we'll start and we'll get there. We're just not there yet.
Yeah. Like I said, it's going to be the Hearthstone rare card. There's only one out of how many of these minted NFTs of whatever character or item. So that's what it's going to be eventually. And
it'll have to be more than that though, because like a Hearthstone card is great, but what happens when they stop, when they shut down Hearthstone? It needs to be usable outside Hearthstone.
Well, and that's where the metaverse comes into play. So you'd be able to
perhaps
you'd be able to run, still be able to play the game off the blockchain, as it were. And collect it, and it might be just memorabilia, so you'd be able to run it, you just wouldn't be able to play any games, but you could still swap. And I bet that'll come up with game design. Speaking of games and online multiplayer, a game that we were all into last year, almost about this time, I think it came out last August, Aliens Fireteam Elite has free updates.
I saw that. Yeah.
And that's right before there's more content coming out in August as well. And I don't know if you've been able to look at the little, video of it. I haven't booted it up in ages, but I'm waiting for the new DLC like levels to come out before I really get back into it. And I think you and I need to play and record a session so people can, on the Storytime Gamer channel, so they can watch us, obliterate bugs and xenomorphs and all that, and just have a fun time. But yeah, I'm excited. Did you get a chance to look at the video?
We had a lot of fun. I did. I watched it. But we had a lot of fun playing that game. And for me, it's like getting to live the movie.
Oh, I agree.
That's my favorite movie. I love it so much. But I don't want to play the same level over and over again, to get all the stuff.
But it feels good. It does feel, for what we played, it feels like we're in the movie. And that's that's why it works. But there's like only so many times you can play the same level. Even if the enemies kind of spawn sort of randomly, but not randomly. If they made it more like Left 4 Dead, where all of a sudden a leak comes out in an area you didn't see it before, that would be definitely a better improvement.
I'm happy to see them delivering free updates to games like this, though. I'm happy that people are still playing it. I don't know. I'll play with you, but I won't go really that deep into it.
Yeah, no. It's free updates are always good for games, I think. What else we got? New PlayStation report has a warning about God of War Ragnarok. So there's leaks in the boat, because they're telling what's happening is PlayStation is saying, developers are saying there are leaks abound, whether that's internal or someone's hacking or whatever. So everyone has to be careful on social media in the next couple months until it is released and you get to play it, because what they might do is spoil something, which they compare it to Last of Us Part 2 leak, which if you are living in a cave for the last 2 years was about, just spoiler alert anyway, Joel being killed really quickly in the story. And that pissed off a lot of people. That came out before the game. And so they're worried about, I guess, something popping out about this, which the worst that could happen, I would say, is they pull Metal Gear Solid 2. Do you know what I'm saying? What happened to Metal Gear Solid 2 here?
No, I don't know.
Okay, so Metal Gear Solid 2 was highly anticipated when it was being launched. We saw Solid Snake. We were excited to be Solid Snake again in a really cool PlayStation 2 game, because he was only on the PlayStation 1. This would have been his PlayStation 2 debut. Well, what happened was, after the first level, you play as Raiden for the rest of the game. So you're like Snake for just 2 hours, maybe an hour at the most, depending on how much you just messed around. And then you're riding for the rest of the game. So it was like, okay, well, you're Kratos for 1 hour, and then you play as Atreus for the whole game. Which, you know what? As long as it worked story-wise, I'd be cool with it. But that's a really, really, really long stretch, from my opinion, of what will happen. I doubt that would happen. Anyway, so watch out for leaks, everybody.
Yeah, it's weird. The leak situation is so weird. I don't know if you saw the news about Beyonce's album leaked 2 days early. Like, people, come on, don't do that.
Right.
But that's the world we live in now.
Right. Well, yeah, I think there's leaks that the developers and people in charge do, and like, oops, it leaked, because they want to get a reaction and like a litmus test. And then there's like, oh shit, it leaked, and then they like plug it as fast as they can.
Yep. Yeah, so one of the stories on my list here is about really changes in the game industry, and you're seeing a lot of games canceled. This one's about Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake.
Oh no!
And being canceled indefinitely. Looks like 2 of the senior folks were fired on that game, and this one got my attention because I know it's got so many fans out there. I'm not a huge fan of it, but we talked about this remake, and you were really excited about it.
Yeah.
And that also came out the same week this story came out about Ubisoft canceling 4 games, including Ghost Recon Frontline, Splinter Cell VR, which there's a lot of excitement about Splinter Cell. I'm a big Splinter Cell fan. And the Splinter Cell part was interesting because that was supposed to be a game sold on Meta. Yeah. And Facebook is taking a big, Meta, I guess I should say, is taking a beating. They've lost a lot of money on Meta. I mean, it's an investment, but, billion and a half, something like that, investment in Meta has pulled their financials down. And so, yeah, there's a lot of this going on in the gaming industry. And it's interesting. I think just listening to people talk about it, I kind of get the sense that maybe some of these game companies realize how much competition there is out there, how difficult the supply chain problems are, and how important it is to stay focused and put out good quality games. And that's true for no one more so than Ubisoft.
Right. And I think it's funny, like of the games you talked about, it's not new IP. Any of it, which I love. Yeah. KOTOR. I was just playing it again. And I was actually looking forward to a remake, but you know what? Maybe it needs to die. Maybe we don't need it. Do we need another Ghost Recon? Do we need a Splinter Cell VR? I mean, yes, that'd be cool. But, should maybe these companies need to work on new stuff instead of rehashing? Yeah. And maybe that's their mentality.
Yeah, we're in this era where like everyone's pumping out, just massive amounts of content. I mean, look at us sitting here making our podcast, but right. Everyone's pumping out so much content, and that's what's happening. Video games are getting bloated, they're getting bland. There's more to it, yeah, but it's less fun overall.
Yeah, definitely.
And so maybe they're starting to realize, hey, we need to have quality stuff in here that people want to buy.
Right. Well, and it's funny because I think you have an article about quality things and the amount of content. We actually have a couple things about Stray. So why don't you lead in about that?
Oh yeah, I thought this was cool because people are already modding Stray the game and putting in their own cats. I've seen now several articles about people swapping in different things in Stray, and I just think that's really cool. I hear so many good things about Stray. I don't know if I'm going to play it, but I think it's cool that people are able to go in there and get creative with the game.
Yeah, Stray cats being adopted and changed and all that. Yeah, I love it when people can mod and change it up and make their own cats in there. Which have you gotten a chance to play Stray yet?
I haven't. I don't know if I'm going to. Okay. I may watch some people play it.
Okay. Well, I was going to.
You have though.
I have, and I will talk about that when we talk about what we've been playing. But I was going to say there's another mod. Apparently, this goes into what I was saying before about the bloated comment with content. Here comes this game Stray, 6-hour game, but it's so popular, people are playing it. It's only 6 hours. So what does that say about, do you need a game that lasts, 50 hours with a bunch of content or 6 hours with really good content? But people have been taking that Stray cat and its little AI drone buddy and putting it in Doom, because that's kind of the thing now. Just like, can it run Crysis was the running joke. Now it's like, what can we put Doom on? And here we are. We're awesome. Doom mod with the stray cat, so you can go around and play as the in like third person view of the cat shooting up, monsters, pinkies and steam demons and stuff like that in the original Doom. And I think that was pretty awesome.
That's great.
And also, how you were saying that Meta wasn't doing well. Well, they're about to jack up their price of their units by $100 in August, which that's ridiculous for anyone. I've never heard, say, like Nintendo or Xbox, like say, well, we're going to jack up the price $100 on our units now. And I don't know if this is them. Maybe they originally put these out at that price range and took a hit on, say, like the manufacturing of them. But with the chip shortages we've had over the last year and a half or so, I doubt that's the reason why it's being $100. I think it's they're trying to justify maybe bringing it up in price of what it should be. And they haven't been happy with how many have been sold and people buying actual VR media, and they're not making enough profit on it. It's a horrible money grab. It's stupid.
Yeah, and it looks bad for Zuckerberg because he had made a comment specifically, I don't know how long ago this was, a year or two, about hitting a $300 price point, and now they're at a $400 price point. Right. It's weird just because, I don't know, it's such an investment. I mean, now you're up in, that's what it costs to buy a game console.
Right.
So.
Oh, it's essentially is a game console, but it's the whole idea of like, well, VR is expensive. It's like when you bought a 3D TV, that's over like $1,000 back in the day. They don't really make them. But say, what if they made a 3D TV with the 3D glasses or 3D glassless that was, $300? People would buy that. And that's the thing. So it's either people are going to buy it or not. But during this kind of economy, I don't think people are going to spend the extra $100 on it.
Yeah, I'd love to see the data on this, but my hunch is that there's not very many households that only have an Oculus.
Right.
If you buy an Oculus, it's because you've already got other gaming options. And so, how many people are going to go out and say, well, should I buy a PlayStation or an Oculus? I'll buy an Oculus.
Right.
The games that everyone's talking about and playing are on Xbox and PlayStation and PC.
Yeah. You get the Oculus.
It's weird.
Edition. It is weird.
The timing's weird for it.
Very weird.
I thought this next story was really interesting. So in Diablo Immortal, it's gotten a lot of criticism for its monetization, its microtransactions, and people were talking about it. And my opinion on this has evolved over the years. Several years ago, I used to think, it's no big deal if people want to pay that money. Who cares? They're making a choice. Well, what they've done is they've situated it so in order to power things up in the game, you have to get these gems, you have to upgrade the gems and their slots, and then you can pay extra money to upgrade them. And that sounds fine, but what this person did was they built a simulator so that you could really see how much money it costs to fully upgrade. And I think in the video he mentions another YouTuber spent like $13,000 to upgrade one slot all the way, one gem slot. It's incredible, and it's a lot to think about. Is this wrong? How does this feel as a player? It feels like I don't have the whole game because there's all these levels I can upgrade to, and yet to do that costs all this money. And you can use this simulator that's linked in this video to go and see what it would be like to spend all that money. I don't know. It feels bad. Oh, it feels bad coming from Blizzard because I was so fond of Blizzard, and this is just feels gross.
Well, it's very gross. And you hope that the way that this gets the people react to it is just stop buying, or not as much money as what was invested that first couple of weeks. You vote with your dollar, you quit playing, and then they have to kill it because it's like, well, this is just sitting there, not making any money. No, that's ridiculous. I agree. That's so wrong on so many levels. When you get a game that is it's free to download, but it's like, well, we're kind of hoping that you'll pay us, and that it's not always even. I spent $60 on a game. That's one thing, but also it's bad when it's like, okay, it's free, but then if you really want to play it, you need to keep paying money. And that could be from $5 to a couple $100, or like in the case of.
I mean, I guess I can see the thinking of. I mean, they've basically made it infinite, where you can spend as much money. You can spend an infinite amount of money in it, essentially. But maybe they should put the cap at like $300 or. I don't know.
I like it when a game is like you can earn in-game currency to buy those things, and you could pay actual money to go ahead and unlock it faster. I appreciate that kind of model, but it's like, oh, you can only do this if you spend real money on it. That's a big turnoff. So that might be, I'll probably never pick up Diablo Immortal for that fact alone.
I wouldn't mind it so much if I knew. It feels like you're not getting anything because you spend money on this gem or whatever, and it's like a tiny, tiny fraction of the maximum of that gem. Yeah, well, the maximum is way out of reach.
Does it change your stats in any way? Is it like, oh, you're in God mode now, or is it just what does it do exactly? I mean, that's my question.
Yeah, you're powering up your character.
Okay, well, can you feel the difference? It's like it's a 5% increase. Or it's like it's a 50% increase. Then you pay to win instead of pay to play. Anyway, no. I'll wash my hands of it.
Let's talk about Stray. I want to hear. Okay. You've been playing Stray. I want to hear you talk about it.
I've been playing Stray. I haven't beaten it yet at the time of this recording. I'm trying to finish it up soon so I can post my playthroughs online. The developers did a really good job of the cat animations for your model, and I think that's what took up probably most of their time, is just making sure it looked and felt like a cat, and it does feel like a cat. So in Stray, you're a cat who, it seems like you're in a post-apocalyptic future. Something's happened to all the humans. There's only robots left. There's some sort of viral creatures that look like head crabs to me. They're called like Zerk. And they're in this underworld city, and you're trying to help these robot people, which I think is like humans evolved. I haven't been through the whole story yet, but it's like what humans became, like because of the organic bodies maybe couldn't survive this plague from these creatures called the Zerk. But you're this cat who came from this outside of this like sheltered city, and it's your goal to figure out how to get back out to your cat family. And so far, so good. It's great puzzle platformer, cyberpunk, really cool. I've been just really enjoying it.
It sounds like a cat simulator.
It is the cat simulator as Death Stranding is to walking simulator. So you can say it's a simulator for that, but then there's more to it. But you do little cat things like there's like a paper bag. You can get your head stuck in, and then your controls are all wonky. You can go scratch up furniture and rugs and things like that. And there's a dedicated button for meowing on the PlayStation. That's so awesome. The circle button to go meow meow. And what's funny is that I think we talked about it before, is how people's cats are watching. You play the game and they're just going meow.
Yeah, right. I've seen those. You know what's? I can't help but think about this game. It's cool that there's this story and it's post-apocalyptic and they have robots. I would kind of like to have a cat simulator, like Goat Simulator, where you're a cat and you just live at this house and you can go outside or inside and just do cat stuff. I think that'd be really popular.
That'd be really cool. Maybe there'll be
maybe someone will make a mod or
yeah. So I've been playing that, and then I actually picked up again Fallout Shelter, but for my Switch. I originally played it on my iPad when it came out, I guess back in 2015. Was that when it came out?
That's a neat game.
And
several years ago.
I liked it, and it's just something kind of. I like those little Sims where you just kind of let things kind of go and try to make sure things are working and. Make sure you have enough energy, enough food, and different things. But they've added a lot more features to it since I picked it up years ago. Like there's, there's a whole new thing with the Overseer, like a whole other building section for the Overseer for your vault, and that gives you missions to go out into the world instead of just sending someone into the wastelands. You can go on to particular missions you choose with a group of 3 people, and you kind of dungeon crawl through the building to find loot and fight things. And I thought that was a great little feature to it. So I should have explained for those who don't know what Fallout Shelter is. It is a free downloadable. What kind of sim is that? It's a
management sim.
Management sim. Yeah, thank you. Management sim.
Yep. I play a lot of these.
Your vault dwellers, and it's based off of the world of Fallout 4. So it's kind of like a tie-in game for Fallout 4 when it was released. But it's a fun little thing, and it's free. You can buy perks and like little lunch boxes that give you special items and things. So it's a random loot box thing. So you can spend money on it. I think I spent like $5 to get the robots to go through and automatically get my resources, so I wouldn't have to keep collecting all the time. But it's fun. It's a good little management game. I'm enjoying it again on my Switch.
I have put a lot of time into Fallout Shelter back when it came out. It was my airplane game. I played it on my iPad, and I feel like this is a good example of how to do microtransactions. There's a number of things that you can buy. And they'll boost the game. They've got, they're random loot boxes essentially is what the lunch boxes are. But there's other things that you can buy, and they just kind of boost your game. And I enjoy that. They're completely optional. You don't have to play the game, and it doesn't. Unlike Diablo, it doesn't make you feel like you're missing out on content by not paying for it. It's just like, hey, do you want to have more powerful people with more guns or whatever? You can buy this pack, and it's a real neat game. I'm glad it's still going. Listening you talk about it makes me want to play it again.
Well, yeah, and what made me want to play it is it's like, oh, it's on the Switch. Yeah, I'll do that. I like, because I loved it on my iPad, but now it's on the Switch. And the last game I've been playing is actually with my youngest. She's only youngest because she's 3 minutes younger than my oldest daughter. Technicality, because she's a twin. We've been playing Lego Jurassic World because Switch yet again had a nice little Lego sale. So I got like all the Jurassic World games or Jurassic Park games and Jurassic World Lego versions of the movies for like $9. And we've been playing Jurassic Park, and that's been fun on Lego form. It's been just fun for us to co-op with our little Joy-Cons and going through the stories in Lego funny fashion, and that's a trip. It was good. I like it. And if you like Lego games and you enjoy the franchises, and it's just a fun little time to play, even if it's by yourself, because they do Lego people, like whatever I forget the actual company that makes all the Lego games, but they know how to do it. They do right.
I hear the writing's really good. They're funny. Yeah,
I haven't sat down to play the new Star Wars Lego game because I keep hearing how amazing it is. But what they do really well is they have for years and years is take like audio from the movies for the dialogue for your characters, but then they like do different scenarios. Like for instance, in the raptor, when they're feeding the raptor the cow, instead of feeding the raptor the cow, there's a guy in the not a forklift, but the little crane, and he's trying to drop the cow in, but somehow the cow swaps places with the crane operator, and it's like a really weird comical thing. So the cow's operating the crane, and the guy's in the little feeder, and he gets put down there, and then what happens is that the raptors rip all of his clothes off, and he comes up within his underwear. It's funny.
Make it safe for kids.
Yep, very safe for kids.
Well, I thought I'd talk a little bit about my vacation gaming. I did want to mention first, though, that my daughter was singing this song, and we were like, what's that song you're singing? She said, oh, it's one of the themes from Cuphead. And we're like, oh, you've been playing Cuphead? No, she's not been playing Cuphead. She's been watching people play Cuphead. She's really interested in the world. She likes the kind of the tone of the music and stuff, but she doesn't play it. She has no desire to play it. In fact, we had our Switch. It had Cuphead on it, and she wasn't interested in playing it. But Cuphead's fascinating because it's become this pop culture phenomenon. It's cool to me that there's a whole like area of gaming where people don't play the games. They just watch other people play the games or listen to the music and I believe they have a show out for Cuphead now too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, on Netflix.
Yeah, so I got really into Gwent Rogue Mage this week. That's the card game. Yeah, it's kind of the third version of Gwent that CD Projekt Red has released. I decided, let me just sit down, and I was on a plane. I had a couple hours to kill, and I was like, let me just really learn this. And so I did, and I started to have a really good time with it. You may recall it is It's a roguelike where you go through a map, a lot like that game you showed me. I'm drawing a blank on the name now. But you're making your way through this map, and each encounter is a card battle. And there's Rogue Book. It's very similar to Rogue Book. And I beat the first boss. I was like, oh, I'm so smart. I beat the first boss. And I got to the second boss, and I dominated the second boss. Like, I got to the very last, played my last card, and I had like double his power. And then he came back and then just destroyed me, like wiped out. And his last couple of plays wiped me out. And I was like, oh, I just don't know if I can go through it again. So now I'm kind of there with Gwent Rogue Mage. I had a lot of fun with it. This is a game where I wish they had microtransactions. Let me spend $2, $3, $5 and get some special cards. Let me get a leg up, because I don't want to go through that whole map again and fight that guy again and then just get wiped out. Let me put a little money in it. I don't have enough time to just do that all over again. I don't know if I'm going to get into it again, but I did enjoy playing it. I also got my wife and daughter to play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Sweet.
Together. So it's really cool to we took the Switch controllers off the sides, and each one of those was a separate controller. And we had our Pro controller there. So we had some fun playing that. I think we'd have had more fun. It was on a big screen because we didn't bring our dock with us, and so we were playing it kind of huddled around the Switch, but it was fun.
Oh, good.
And then toward the end of the week, I finally got into Factorio. I love factory games, management games, automation games, and Factorio is kind of the original. And so I got into that. It's a neat game. There's so many good factory games out there, though, right now, that as soon as I got home, I fired up Captain of Industry again. I'm well over 200 hours now, and fiddle with a little bit. But yeah, that was my vacation gaming.
Well, there you go. Vacation gaming. So we're done talking about our games. Let's talk about what we've been watching. You can go first, I guess, but I think we both agree on the same thing here.
Oh, yes, and I'm very interested to hear what you thought about it. I watched Arcane last summer by myself, and on the trip, I talked my daughter into watching it with me, because I love Arcane. It's got good, strong female characters in it, and she loved it. We watched the whole series last week. We watched 2 or 3 at a time. She was really into it, and she's really into art, and so she was drawing the characters during the day between shows. So yeah, we got really into it. It was a good conversation about it as well. But man, is it a high quality show. It's just written well. The animation's incredible. I can't wait for season 2 to come out. I can't wait to hear what you thought about it.
I don't know anything about League of Legends, and that shouldn't be a reason for anyone to not watch it. I think if you're a fan of Love, Death, and Robots, a fan of anime, it is one of the best looking animated shows I've ever seen. It's like, it's not pastel, but it's like oil painting come to life. Love the art style, the character designs. Reminds me a lot of Dishonored, honestly. And I'm sure
steampunk and magic.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it's not like a Dishonored movie instead. But no, I'm enjoying it. I'm not quite done with it yet, but it's really good, really well done. Love the music, the editing. And it's like certain things you can only do with an animated. It translates better on animated versus like in live action. There's stuff in it that, you've got Jinx like tinkering with something, listening to some heavy metal. And I think it was Silco coming up trying to get her attention, but she's in the groove. And if you've ever listened to music while you're working on something, you know how that is. And through the cutting and the little bits of animation and everything else and little camera shake, they were able to really show that, the creators, visually, which I know I appreciate something small like that. But not a second goes by where it feels like cheap animation either.
Yeah.
And that's what I think drives it home. And I can't wait to finish it. I can't wait to see more. And it's definitely something I would watch again. After a couple more months, I'd watch it, the series again. I'm really enjoying it.
What episode did you get to?
I think I'm halfway through 6 right now.
Okay.
I was watching it this morning while I was eating my breakfast, and then needed the pause to come do the pause button.
I was hoping you got past episode 3, because that's when the first 3 episodes kind of set the stage, and all the characters begin to evolve in episode 4. And it's really cool to see by the end what they evolve into. I mean, that's a lot of the fun of that show.
Yeah, no, it's done a real good job with the characters, changing them up, the dynamics. It's very well done voice acting. It's they need more like this. This is what animation should be, I think, especially with TV.
Agreed.
Okay, so
make more, please.
Please, may I have some more? Yes. All right, so
please, sir.
Please, sir. Well, let's move on to our main topic, and it's hard to come up with the best way to title it, but I finally settled on it. It's one of those shower moments. Are we there yet? It's that question your kids always ask, or anyone else will ask who's just not patient. But are we there yet when it comes to next gen consoles? Because I don't feel like we are there yet. We have the consoles, but I don't think we're there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
I think, just for everybody out there, I know it's still, I guess, is it hard to still find these next gen consoles with chip shortages? I mean, it's not like I walk into a Best Buy and see them on the shelf.
It's getting easier, but no, they're still hard to get.
Which, I get it. It should be stabilized by now. They're about to be 3 years old. Am I right? Or 2 years old?
Are they really?
Well, they came out in 2020, so this is 2022. So it'll be 2 years this coming November. So it's been about 2 years. So by this point, we should have some sort of stabilization. And I get the supply chain and everything else.
We should have a dearth of next-gen games to play by this point.
Yes, there should be a plethora, and everything can be put on the console. But my thing is, the game developers, I feel like, are still not making them for next-gen, and that's my problem. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. They got a number of things that they're dealing with. I mean, you can't get them in the hands of players. Enough people won't buy your game, especially if it's next gen exclusive.
Well, but they've made,
and you've got so many other devices out there too. I mean, you're competing with Switch, you're competing with PC. So it's a difficult situation that they're in.
Right, but say for instance, you're making Horizon Forbidden West, which was supposed to be an exclusive, mind you, for the PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, oh, well, we'll make a PlayStation 4 version too. And you have to watch someone put it together side by side, but you can tell it's hard to tell the difference between the two versions, besides, running at 60p, at the higher frame rates for those who you don't know the difference, the smoothness. Or even it's like, well, it's got ray tracing. It's like, it's not that noticeable of ray tracing though. And that's my beef, is when you're producing content that you can't tell the difference between is next gen or current gen. Like God of War 2018, Red Dead Redemption 2, Last of Us Part 2. These are, I'm going off of these PlayStation titles, but also Red Dead Redemption 2 is for, Xbox. But those 3 games alone were phenomenal looking years ago and are still phenomenal looking today. I mean, there was parts in Last of Us Part 2. I remember it was when you're in the TV station with Ellie, and there was some sort of shiny vent I walked by, and there was a really good reflection that the game developers put on it. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And this was on a PlayStation 4 Pro. And I was blown away of how much detail they put into it to make it seem like real ray tracing and reflections. But there's so many games that are being put out that do not even do that now. Yeah. And that's my irritation.
Well, I have some bad news for you, which is I think because games are so widely available on every platform and every place now, and combine that with the fact that we've reached a level of graphic fidelity that a lot of people are satisfied with. A lot of people don't care that much about 4K versus, lower resolutions, or 60 FPS versus 30 or whatever. Back in the day, if you could get an increase of frame rate or you could get more polygons on the screen, it was a dramatic improvement in your gameplay experience. Now, It's just not the case, and people are happy to play it on a little tiny phone screen. And not everybody wants to have a 60-inch, high fidelity television and a PlayStation to play it on. It's becoming more niche, I'm afraid.
Well, yeah, I hear you. I agree, but maybe it's a part of me that feels robbed.
Yeah,
because I bought that PlayStation 5 and I also have the Xbox Series S. It's like, okay, I've got my ray tracing capable consoles. Where's my ray trace? There's only a handful of games that have satisfied that. And within that handful, there's only a few that have really made it look phenomenal. And like, this is what next gen is. And that's, it's irritating. It's like all games have been downgraded with just a minimal effort for that upgrade. Like, what was I going to say? I'm playing a PlayStation 4 Pro, aka the PlayStation 5. I mean, that's what it is, and that's irritating. And I feel like there should be more.
You see a headline about how Horizon Forbidden West runs so great on the PS4 Pro, and it like looks almost identical to the PS5, and you're like, well, why the hell did I spend $500 on this console?
No, exactly, and that's the thing. It's like, well, then and that's what I'm worried about with God of War. I mean, I'm giving hope that they developed it with the PlayStation 5 in mind, and then they downgrade it. But then it's like, I hope you can see the difference. Is my thing, is because that's why I bought it. I wanted that graphic fidelity, more particle elements, better lighting, better shadows. That's why I bought it. It used to be that they had a game or two that were system sellers. Yes,
and you were like, you couldn't play the game unless you had the new console, and so you would go out and get the console. I think those days are over.
Well, yeah. The only games I feel like that were system sellers. There's only two that come to mind, really. Well, actually, okay, I'll say three technically. The for PlayStation 5, the Spider-Man remaster, not even Miles Morales, because they put that on the PlayStation 4 as well, because that was originally supposed to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. The PlayStation, the remaster of Spider-Man, because they went back and did a ray tracing, and that looks amazing, even if they did screw up Peter Parker's face. They made him younger because they didn't have the rights or something for the original face model. I don't know what WTF that was about. Demon's Souls for PlayStation 5. That's truly next gen, because that was only designed for the PlayStation 5. And then Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is another game, because it shows like the speed and power of the PlayStation 5, because there were so many great selling points when I bought my PlayStation 5. Besides the responsive triggers, and it was like, quick loading. That was something amazing that happened with Spider-Man, is that it was so quick at loading that you could turn the option back on to see the loading screen, because that was a fun little part of it. Demon's Souls, it was so quick. Whenever you die, you'd like pretty much respawn immediately. You travel right into a world. It was crazy quick. That I have not seen that on any of the other games, and it's irritating. It's stupid. It's frustrating. It's like, why do I have this clunk of a thing? It's actually the only reason why I was able to play Cyberpunk, honestly, because I had a PlayStation 5. They could handle it. But
I've seen some commentary.
Yeah.
I've seen some commentary that this generation is not so much about graphic fidelity as it is about speed, faster loading time, higher frame rate. I mean, I became a 60 FPS snob with this generation, because honestly, I hadn't really ever paid that much attention to it. And when I really sat down and experienced 60 FPS, I don't want to play a game that's not 60 FPS. And those fast loading times and reloading from save, loading into new levels, oh man, it's a game changer for me.
Oh yeah, no, I like a faster load. That's definitely a big thing. I agree. I like my 30 FPS because it's more cinematic. To me, it looks, because that's close to 24 frames per second, and I get I get 60 FPS, and it doesn't bother me as soon as I start playing in it and get just into it, but it can be a little jarring sometimes, if was expecting it, because sometimes the 60 FPS is a little too smooth, that sometimes the fidelity is lost. on textures and lighting, and I don't care. And that's when I get really turned off by it. And that's me as that kind of player. And I like the option of, well, you could put it into fidelity mode, where it'll be stuttered to the 30 FPS locked in, and that's fine as long as it doesn't stutter more. But it's just it needs to be in there. These elements, like Elden Ring, it got released on all the platforms, even the next gens, but don't have that feature of ray tracing involved. It's like, we'll put it in later. I'm like, bitch, please put it in now. It should have been done now.
I've already spent 80 hours on it.
Demon's Souls most of the time looks better lighting wise and shadow wise, and all these little bit of graphic parts better than Elden Ring. Elden Ring looks like it's an upgraded version of Dark Souls 3. It's a pretty game. It's beautiful. They did some graphic achievements in it, but still, it's disheartening. It's irritating, and we're coming up, as I said, 2 years, going on to the third year of next gen, and they need to figure this stuff out. In my opinion, it needs to be done. I remember when the Wii was hard to find when that first came out back in the late 2000s. Yeah. I get that. It's like, okay, we got the Wii, but they were all Wii games. It's not like, well, we're going to wait until there's more Wiis before we start really getting into the motion control stuff.
This is why I didn't understand, and still don't, why they didn't do more to prevent scalping on these devices. Like, hey, I get that you want to move units and you want to sell them, and maybe you don't care if scalpers buy them versus real people, but now they're just sitting in someone's garage and they're not being played. They're not getting people excited about new games. Developers aren't getting next gen games sold because all these devices are just sitting out there in storage waiting to be bought. It seems like a very easy problem to solve by creating a registration system, and I don't know. I mean, maybe it's hard to solve, but I wish they had solved it.
Well, I think what would have happened is, if they actually put more physically in stores, you wouldn't have as many scalpers. And I think part of the pandemic didn't help that rogue element, because you could have you have the bots buy, and then there you go. Instead of, well, you can only buy one per store. That's what it was for the longest time when it came to next gen.
Yeah.
And that makes
so. Look, I mean, Steam Deck, they are very tightly controlling sales of Steam Deck. They're handling that very well. Who is EVGA, which has a registration system for buying their 3000 series graphics cards. That's how I got mine. That's how I got my 3080 Ti. I waited several months in line virtually using my account, and I don't know. Seems like they could have solved it that way. Right.
Yeah, no, I think, I don't know. I kind of think that stuff has cooled down, though. There's scalpers out there. And I keep getting emails, because I'm still on the email list from like GameStop and other places, like, hey, they're getting dropped. New Xboxes, new PlayStation 5s are being dropped. One game, aside from God of War, because I feel like that's going to be a big seller for buying a new PlayStation 5. Is Callisto Protocol. I feel like that, and I think that is that is cross-platform, but that was another thing they said was exclusively next-gen console, and they kind of backed up on it. But from the developer videos and what they've released, it's truly next-gen with the ray tracing and lighting and shadows, especially for that type of game where it's a survival horror. You want to have that mood and lighting and realistic type of reactions, translucent skin, sweating. You want that to be there. And I feel like that might be one of those tipping points where, like, okay, you can tell the difference between the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 version, or Xbox One X versus Xbox One X versus Xbox Series X. Xbox needs to come up with better names. But even then,
they need a breakout hit. They need something that's going to be so good that people want to buy the console for it, and they're going to have to make that sacrifice of, hey, we're not going to get any PS4 sales on this. And they're not willing to do that with God of War Ragnarok. It's just too popular of a title, I guess.
But you can still have a downgraded version, honestly. Even if
right. Or give us something on the PS5 version that's dramatically better. I would hate to say that's more content, but like something that showcases the power of the device.
Yeah, you just dumb down the PlayStation 4 version. Don't give it the, if it looks just as good as the one that came out in 2018, that's fine. But it looks even better with the 4K texturing or something else. I don't know. We'll just have to see how that plays out. I will tell you, if there's more games that are developed, like what that Matrix demo that came out past Christmas, that's what it needs to be, because that's what told me was next gen.
Yeah.
Unreal 5, because that was Unreal 5, the demo, and I'm like, this is what every game should be. Callisto Protocol is being done on Unreal 4, but I know if there's more Unreal 5 games, then we'll be golden. I'll quit my bitching about it. But I feel like that I feel like I have just a wasted hunk of money. I could have kept using my PlayStation 4 Pro and been none the wiser for all these games.
Yeah, here's an interesting question for you: is will there be a PS6?
I think a PlayStation 6 will be a little bit longer out, because what they're going to do is a PlayStation 5 Pro. Or even Xbox Series X Pro.
By the time that comes out, will we be in a world where games are streamed?
Like a clouds thing? That maybe.
Yeah.
They might do that. Yeah. I think that's what they're testing now. Like I know with the new PlayStation Plus has streaming games. Xbox Game Pass has streaming cloud games, and that's a new thing. That might not be the next gen, but maybe the next one over. I think it'd be quite a leap from now to do that, in my opinion. But eventually, yeah, as long as everyone has... But that's the other thing. Not everyone has high-speed internet. You all assume that everyone has fast enough internet to do that, but no, it's still... most of America is not. With North America.
I'll bet we have one more generation in us at least of, hey, we've got a cloud version, but we've also got a physical version.
Yeah.
And they're fairly the same, but one is for people with fast internet and the other is not. But I'll bet they're more similar. I'll bet you that within the time frame of the release of the next console, let's say 8 years from now, there's enough out there to where the difference between having a physical console and using the streaming only is just going to be, hey, one you can download and play locally, right. The other you can play remotely. Other than that, they're exactly the same.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm fascinated. There's so many advantages to cloud streaming. Like, I went on vacation. I couldn't play my PC games. I couldn't play my PS5 games. But in a streaming world, I could.
Right.
If I had fast internet where I was going. But I'm such a graphics snob. I don't want to give up on frames. I don't want to give up on, resolution.
Oh, so, no one does. Or texture. Yeah. And that's one thing. It's like one reason why I still haven't picked up Witcher 3 for the Switch. Because look, I can play Witcher 3 anywhere. But I know that I'd start playing like, oh, this doesn't look as good as it did on my PlayStation. It'd be such a turnoff. Now, we talked about it earlier about the Oculus going up $100. It makes me wonder if the PlayStation 5 would go up in price during these times.
That'd be crazy. I
don't think they would, though. I honestly don't think they would. But there's that, if Meta's doing it, there's always that possibility. Or even production, and maybe they'll get more scarce again to find. Just as they were getting, easier to find. Now it's like, well, no one wants them. Or maybe they'll build up in stock because people aren't wanting to spend the $700 on a console because they're more concerned about other necessities during these financial times. And so it'll kind of even out. But even then, it's no longer just the console now, it's the content, and it's like y'all need to produce the content that fits for the console.
They're not giving us compelling reasons to buy those next gen consoles as it is. So increasing the price is just going to slow down the adoption of the console. That's not what they need.
Right. Yeah, no, all the features, it's like it's not really there. And I'm playing a PlayStation 4 Pro and it's meh. So, are we there yet? We should be there, but we're not. We got detoured, and it's not even a flat tire. It's just more. It's more of our parental person in charge of our trip being cheapskate. We were supposed to.
I do love the DualSense controller, though.
I love it. I love it. I love adaptive triggers, but if it has to be in the right game, though, it just has to work out just fine. And as I said, like
that's right.
The quick loading time, it's neither here or there on everything, and it should be on every kind of game and device. So I don't know. So I'll be patient a little longer. Maybe in a year from now we can revisit. From this time, say, hey, are we there yet? And then I can be, yes, we finally made it.
We're finally there.
But no, we've been detoured at Dollywood, or no, not Dollywood, but where is it? There is that town in Tennessee, which is just all sorts of things like, or like Ripley's Believe It or Not, and things like that for us to get distracted.
Oh,
I'm trying to remember the name of that town, but anyway. It's like that. We're trying to go to Disney World, but we got distracted by the tourist trap.
Right.
The tourist trap town. So we're going to have to wait. We're having fun, but we have to wait. Well, you got anything else to say about that?
I don't think so. I think we covered it.
Since we've covered it, do you have any game recommendations?
I talked about Cult of the Lamb, the demo that I played a while back. I loved it, and it comes out August 11th. I'm super excited about it. I'm probably, when we get done, I'm probably going to download a game called Farthest Frontier, which is a medieval city builder. It's supposed to be really hard.
Cool.
Like hardware, like if you don't have enough food for winter, your town will die.
Yeah.
That looks really cool. So I think I'm going to check that out while I'm waiting for Cult of the Lamb. But I'm super excited about Cult of the Lamb coming out. If you haven't, it's a PC game.
Well, it's been announced for PlayStation 4, so I saw. I might pick it up.
It'll be out on those. It does run on Mac, so if you've got a Mac,
yep, I do have Mac
and a controller, you can play it on Mac.
I might have
Demo's
to try
free.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to Pause Button. Like, subscribe, follow on YouTube, and also the Apple Podcast Store.
And send us your thoughts, ideas, and reactions to emails at pausebuttongaming.com. Have a great week. And don't forget, when life gets hectic, sometimes you need to hit the pause button.